Hello, twisted humans.
Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting?
Then this is the podcast for you. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Sierra, and this is
Twisted and Uncorked. Well, we're just going to put the hair there. There we go. No, I don't
there you go.
Now I don't feel as
perfect.
Skanky. I don't know.
We need skanks. Otherwise, you'll be sacrificed as a virgin.
Did you learn nothing from episode 23?
Exactly.
So, speaking of fun facts such as that, do you have one for me?
I do. So,
you were really excited
just
about
tell
it a few
you.
seconds ago. So.
I am. It's okay. So this is literally a comment that someone wrote on Facebook in this really cool group that I'm in, where I usually get all my animal facts from.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to read it because I don't know how to explain it better than this person whose name is Courtney Fee. So thank you, Courtney Fee. So it says, pterodactyl is made of two Greek root words, ter, P-T-E-R, meaning wing, and dactyl, meaning limb or appendage. Perhaps you've heard of polyodactyl in a genetics class, but for sure you've also heard ter, meaning wing, before. The root is also present in helicopter.
What?
Helico means height or air, and the P-T-E-R means wing.
Oh.
Helicopter is the same P-ter in pterodactyl. What the fuck?
What?
Right? This is the most fun fact I've ever read in my whole life.
That is so wild.
It's so crazy. Like the P-T-E-R, the reason we say helicopter is because of the P-T-E-R. Like, that's so crazy.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
That's
my mind was
wild.
blown.
I love it.
And I had to share.
I love it. I love it.
It's so great.
That I love like origins of words because it's true. It tells
Right?
you so much about
Everyone who is listening to this right now, please tell this to all of your coworkers and like blow their fucking minds. It's amazing.
Right? Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Tell me your fun fact.
Thanks to pregnancy, the average number of skeletons in one human body is greater than one. Because you know how I fucked you up with the whole two arms is above average. Yeah, same facts. And then because that was real short, another creepy one is butterflies have been known to drink blood.
Why?
Don't know. I did
That's
not
weird.
dig into that why. I just
got chills.
Yeah, isn't that nasty? I love butterflies too, and now I'm upset about that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure blood and
butterflies.
nectar taste very... Yeah, I know. Our episode last week was very much surrounded by vampires. So that seems fitting. It seemed fitting. But yes, wild. So, you know.
Crazy.
I hate that.
Does anybody else tuck their shirt in around their bra because the wires hurt? Girl problem.
Yes. Especially because it's hot and it's like boob sweat is a thing, as we discussed many times over our staircase recap, because, you know, we're savage humans, but it's true. Mm-hmm. We are women and it sucks. So
yeah, it sucks.
Men will never understand.
Well, hello and welcome to Twisted and Uncorked episode 24.
Nobody's here anymore. They heard vampires.
No, they're really grossed out.
Butterflies drinking blood and they were out.
Yeah, and if that didn't scare them away, the boob sweat did. So, today I have a disappeared case for you, and I'm so excited about it. But first, we have to talk about this fucking amazing sangria. This is so delicious.
Fucking good. I think this is better than the white peach one. Mm-hmm. That was at the top of our list already, so.
It's so summery. I literally texted Alicia and I was like,
I don't have
it
pink
smells
Whitney in
like
mine, so mine's not as pink as Sierra's.
What?
I don't have pink Whitney.
That's insane.
I don't have pink Whitney.
But I texted Alicia and I told her that it smells like sitting poolside in the summertime. So
it really does.
It's fucking amazing. It's strawberry lemonade sangria. So obviously we have the Behringer rosé from last week. I also put a shot of Pink Whitney in it, as well as strawberry lemonade and strawberries and lemons. It's so fucking good.
Mine is all of the above, but with just regular vodka. And instead of soda water, I put a splash of my citrus energy drink in it because she tired.
Perfect. I didn't even put any soda water in mine. I was just like, lemonade's good enough. So
it is so good, guys. 10 out of 10.
It's so good. Yes. Oh, delicious.
Especially on these hot summer days.
Yes, it is so hot. Today's story is a pretty popular one. I haven't discussed it in all of my life of podcasting. That includes Twisted and Uncorked and the previous podcast that I did. So I was like, you know what? I really think I should. And so today I'm going to tell you the story of the Springfield Three.
Oh.
Have you? You've heard this, right? Maybe?
I've heard of it, but I don't know any details. Okay. So I'm really excited.
So crazy. All right. Here we go.
So crazy.
On June 6th, the Kickapoo High School class of 1992 had their graduation ceremony. Kickapoo, a high school in Springfield, Missouri, had a notable list of past graduates, including famous athletes Jack Jewsbury and Anthony Tolliver, Bobby Burke from Queer Eye, and actors J. Kenneth Johnson, Kim Crosby, Lucas Grabeel, and Brad Pitt. All went to Kickapoo High School.
I'm sorry. Are you saying Kickapoo?
Yep.
Like literally
Kick-A-Poo. Kick-A-Poo. P-O-O. Yep. Kickapoo. It's where fucking Bobby Burke, Lucas Grabeel, and Brad Pitt graduated. Crazy, right?
I knew about Bobby because he mentioned it on Queer Eye, and I remember laughing like a 5-year-old then. Like I'm laughing about it now. So.
Great. But in 1992, the graduates that would be added to the notable list became famous for something they surely would not want to be famous for. Stacy McCall was 18 years old, 5'3", 120 pounds, dark blonde hair with a natural blonde ombre with lighter colors at the ends. She had blue eyes, freckles, and a cleft chin. Beautiful. She was working as a receptionist at a gymnastics place and was planning on attending Southwest Missouri State University after graduation. Stacy's mother said she and her daughter were close in the way that a good mother and daughter should be. Stacy told her mother everything, never lied about where she went or anything. She was known by her family as a good girl who recently started hanging out with people that her mother claimed were part of a bad crowd when she was introduced to them by her friend Susie Streeter. Stacy and Susie were elementary school friends, but Stacy and her family had moved to a new city after elementary school. They moved back when Stacy started high school and she became friends again with Susie. They weren't described as best friends. Susie had many other friends, the bad crowd. But Stacy knew Susie from when she was little, so it was comforting to know that, she still knew someone when she got to high school and she didn't have to make all new friends. Susie Streeter was 19 years old. She was 5'2", 102 pounds, bleach blonde hair.
Sorry, that's really, really small.
Very small.
I'm 5'2", and I do not weigh 102 pounds.
Right.
And all women are beautiful. We preach this all the time on the show, but that was just a little bit shocking because,
yes.
As I've disclosed on the show, I did have an eating disorder at one point, and I weighed around that, and so that scares me to think. But some girls, especially teenagers, their metabolism.
Yeah, she's 19.
And they can eat whatever they want. Yeah.
When I was in high school, my senior year, and I only know this because I joined the military, and they had to, like, do height and weight and all that stuff. I was 5 foot. Actually, I think I was still 4'11" at the time. Anyway, I was short. And I weighed 93 pounds. And they were like, you're significantly underweight. However, in high school, multiple people daily asked me if I was pregnant because my stomach just protruded the way that I stood. I had bad posture. So, like, weight and height ratio, even if it sounds weird, like, the way body stores things is always different. It's so strange. Bodies are weird.
So, good for her.
Anyway.
Athlete, 19, prime of her life.
Yep, she had bleach blonde hair, brown eyes, a birthmark-like tumor on the side of her mouth, but she covered it really well with makeup. She worked at a local movie theater and attended classes at the gymnastics place where Stacy worked. And Susie planned on attending cosmetology school after graduation, much like her mother had before. Susie and her mother, Cheryl Levitt, were described as very close, like in the way that Lorelai and Rory from Gilmore Girls are close.
Oh, dream.
Yes, Cheryl was a single mom, so she and her daughter were like friends. Cheryl Levitt was 47 years old. She was 5 feet tall, 110 pounds, also had bleach blonde hair and brown eyes. She was a hairstylist at a small salon in town where the owner, who's technically her boss, was also a friend of hers that she had worked with at a different salon in the past. This boss friend of hers had eventually opened his own salon and asked Cheryl to work there with him. They knew each other well and for a long time. He says that she was great at her job and had many loyal clients that she treated like family. She would have their coffee ready for them just the way they liked it before they even came in for their hair appointment. She would send them birthday cards or anniversary cards. Everyone liked her. And she was also a great mom, according to him. She took care of her daughter and her house. Some people would say that her house seemed out of place compared to the rest of her neighborhood because it was hers was much smaller than the other fancy, like, country club style houses in the neighborhood she lived in. But she made a visible effort to ensure it looked as nice as all the others by keeping it clean, in good shape, having flowers potted and planted. The only vice that Cheryl had was that she was a chain smoker. She never went anywhere without her cigarettes. On Saturday, June 6th, the Kickapoo seniors graduated and were excited to start their lives as adults. The graduating class was having a house party to celebrate and then planning on all of them going to Whitewater Water Park the next day. Many students attended the party, and some had planned on getting a hotel room in Branson, Missouri, which is closer to where the water park was, just so they didn't have to drive so far in the morning. Yeah. And they all had their swim gear with them in their cars. Stacy and Susie were both at the party that night, and after a long night, they decided that they were just going to stay the night at the party host's house. The host, last minute though, decided he needed to clean up because he knew he was going to have to drive to Branson real early in the morning. He thought it would be best if no one would stay over. Stacy's mother remembers Stacy calling to tell her that she wasn't going to Branson until morning. She planned on staying at the house of the party, but now she was just going to stay at her friend Jay's house instead, and Susie was going to stay there with her. By the way, Jay is not the actual name of the friend. That's just an initial that I'm using here because there's been a lot of blame thrown around in this case. Again, this is a disappeared case. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to use the real names of people who haven't been charged with or accused of anything.
As always, respectful to everybody.
Right. Jay is a female mutual friend of the girls, but from what I can tell, she was more close with Stacy, which is the good one, than with Susie, the bad crowd one. But I could be wrong. I don't know. When Stacy and Susie got to Jay's house to sleep, well after midnight now, Jay's mom drew up a pallet of blankets on the floor for them because all the extra beds were taken by family members who were in town for the graduation. The girls, Susie and Stacy, didn't want to sleep on the floor, so they thanked Jay's family and told them they were just going to go back to Susie's house and sleep. And they told Jay they would meet up with her in the morning and they would all go to Branson together. Stacy and Susie both had their cars with them, and Jay's family remembers hearing Susie say to Stacy, "Just follow me to my house." And both girls and both cars left and headed to Cheryl's. Cheryl had been at home, as far as anyone knew, and had last been spoken to by a friend on the phone at about 11:15 p.m. talking about a craft project. Cheryl was planning on taking an old dresser and sprucing it up with a good sanding and painting.
Love it.
Right? This is like my kind of lady.
DIY projects are my favorite.
Yes, I need a drink. So the girls were thought to have gotten to Cheryl and Susie's home at about 2:15 a.m., just after they left Jay's house. Before leaving Jay's house was the last time they were ever seen. The next morning, Jay called Susie's home multiple times. Home phone, by the way, because this is 1992. There's no cell phones. Multiple times trying to get a hold of the girls about meeting up, but no one ever answered. Stacy's mom called Jay's home asking to speak with her daughter because she wanted to know the plans for the day. It was unlike Stacy to leave a place without calling her mom, so her mom was already a little confused as to why they hadn't headed to the water park yet.
Or checked in, at least.
Right. Jay's mom explained to Stacy's mom that Susie didn't even stay there that night, and now Stacy's mom was upset because, like I said earlier, Stacy's mom specifically said her daughter never lied about where she was going. She let her know everything, but then again, it was 2 a.m. when she decided to leave, so I could see her not calling her mom for that.
Yeah, you don't want to wake up your parents, you'll touch base in the morning kind of thing.
Right. Neither Jay's mom nor Stacy's mom had Cheryl and Susie's home phone number, which is why I assumed that Jay and Stacy are closer than Jay and Susie. Otherwise, Jay's mom would probably have Susie's mom's number. Yeah. So now they're trying to figure out how are they going to get a hold of Stacy. Jay had Susie's home number, but she had actually got tired of trying to call and already decided to just go to Susie's house. She's like, I'm just going to meet them at the house. So the two concerned moms were kind of just like waiting to hear back from Jay. Jay and her boyfriend M went over to Susie's house to talk to the girls about the water park trip.
Is this another
when they arrived,
first initial situation that you've done?
Yes.
M? Okay, that's what I figured.
J and M, yep. When they arrived, the first thing they saw was all of the cars. Susie's, Stacy's, and Cheryl's. All cars at the house.
Gotcha.
So maybe they just slept in. Obviously, they had to be home.
Yeah.
They went up to the front door to knock and noticed glass on the porch. Not wanting to step on the glass, they picked it up and threw it in the trash on the side of the home. No one came to the door after knocking, so Jay tried the handle, and it was unlocked. At this point, they're thinking, oh, they must have, walked to the corner store or a nearby cafe to get some breakfast. We'll just wait for them in the house. Again, Susie and her mom, Cheryl, were, like friends, even though they were mom and daughter, they were close friends. I assume this is kind of like a house where any of the teenagers felt comfortable just walking in. Yeah. It wasn't a big deal for Jay to just go inside. Mm-hmm. While waiting inside the house, the phone at Susie and Cheryl's rang, and Jay answered it. Maybe it was force of habit. Like, if you have a home phone, when a phone rings, you answer it. Mm-hmm. That's just the normalness of having a home phone. I've totally
been there. And then I've been in the same situation where my friend's mom was like, can you get that? And I'm like, ah!
Right, yeah.
I don't want to.
Right.
But yeah, that seems like a totally reasonable situation so far.
Yeah, so she answered the phone call, and on the other end was a man who started saying like weird, lewd, sexually motivated comments that obviously Jay was just like, oh my God, someone is pranking this house. And she hung up on them. It's, again, 1992. I mean, people prank. I pranked all the time, and it wasn't 1992. Like,
Sierra and I are going to have an adult sleepover one day and revert back to our teenage years and prank call people. Yeah. Watch out, guys.
Star 67, people. That's all you got to do.
Exactly. There was one.
Is it star 67 or star 69?
I think it's
one of them is to hide your number. One of them is to
block caller ID. Yeah.
To call back. Yeah,
I think it's star 69 because I remember thinking that was funny in grade 7.
Yeah, so star 69, you call that before you type in the number, and when you call the number, it'll say blocked caller or whatever on caller ID.
Unknown,
and then yeah, and if you do star 67 after someone does that to you, it'll call them back, even though you don't know the number. Super crazy.
Ooh, we learned something new of this puzzle piece today.
Old school.
Right.
So after a while of waiting around, Jay and Em went out and ran some errands. And they came back to the house 2 or 3 more times, just waiting to see if the girls were back yet. And then they decided, you know what, maybe they already went, maybe they got a ride with someone else. I don't know what happened, but we're going to go to the water park because we're not wasting our day here waiting around.
Fair.
Maybe something came up. They changed their mind. They didn't want to go. Or, like I said, maybe they got a ride with someone else. I don't know.
You can't check in to see if that was the case.
Right. So. After Jay's mom and Stacy's mom didn't hear from Jay or Stacy, they went to the park to find their daughters. Jay was there, and they asked about where Stacy was. She explained that she tried to get in touch with Stacy and Susie at Cheryl's house, but they must have just kept missing each other because they were never home when she was there. The moms were a little more concerned now, mostly Stacy's mom. So they all followed Jay to Cheryl's house to see what was going on. Multiple people were in the house now, trying to figure out why no one was there. They noticed all 3 cars still there, but one friend of Susie's said that the positioning of the cars was kind of strange. Cheryl's car was parked in the carport, as usual. Susie's and Stacy's cars were in the circle drive path. Susie, as her friend said, is apparently a creature of habit, and she always parked her car behind her mom in the carport, unless her mom wasn't home yet or was planning on leaving. The next day was Sunday, so we can assume that Cheryl didn't plan on going to work in the morning, and at least not earlier than the girls would be getting up to, drive a long way to Branson. We can also assume that Cheryl was already home based on her phone call with a friend at 11 p.m., and likely not having any plans to go anywhere later than that. So why did Susie not park in her normal spot?
Yeah, that's weird.
And I actually have I'm going to screen share this with you. Oh, you have to let me screen share.
I have all the power. There you go.
Okay, this is a picture of the house today. So this is just a picture showing you that this is the driveway and the carport, and this is the circle. This is a picture the day of. You can kind of see right here Cheryl's car. This is Susie's car, and it's not shown in the picture, but Stacy's car was right here behind Susie's car.
Gotcha.
So usually Susie would park right here behind her mom, unless, someone else was parked here, or Cheryl planned on leaving and needed to back out or whatever, but it was in the middle of the night, so who would be parked there, and why would Cheryl need to leave?
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, that house is so cute.
It's so cute. I love
it.
So, some more strange things noticed at the house was the state of the home. Everything looked completely normal and like the girls should have been there. On the stairs inside the home were all 3 girls' purses. Susie's was there. Stacy's was there with all her clothes and things that she would have brought with her to spend the night. Like her swimsuit for the water park, her shorts, and the bra she had been wearing that day, folded neatly like she took them off to go to sleep, and even her makeup. So, the only thing she was wearing was a t-shirt. She took her clothes off to go to sleep. She took her bra off,
as
us girls like to take our bra off to sleep. Yeah. She was literally, could have only been wearing a t-shirt and underwear. And even Cheryl's purse was still there with her cigarettes and her lighter, big deal, and her money, which was about $900 in cash, which was inside the purse.
That's a lot of cash to just be huffing around in the 90s.
Yeah, so many rumors started that having the $900 in cash must have meant that Cheryl was some sort of drug dealer. But let me just say here, as the wife of someone who just started working at a hair salon / barbershop, I can confirm what Cheryl's boss friend said to the police, that is completely normal. The cost of hair care, especially when you're a stylist, Jesse's just a barber, is a lot, and people often feel inclined to tip big. Also, especially in 1992, people prefer to pay in cash to help out the stylist instead of, making them pay taxes on their tips or paying with card. Card was kind of a new thing in 1992.
I still had people do that when I served in 2013. Like, people do try and save you from having to pay those taxes. So that's
right. So she probably kept her week's worth of payments at the salon and then paid herself either Friday or Saturday that week and hadn't gone to the bank yet to deposit it. A $900 paycheck for 1 week in 1992 is the equivalent of $1,700 in 1 week today. And with as much experience as she had, that's not surprising at all. Jesse literally just graduated, and makes half that in his very first week paycheck. That's not crazy.
No, she's killing it.
Yeah, and she has so much experience. She works, I'm sure, faster than Jesse does just starting out. The more people tip, and again, she's dyeing and styling, which costs way more than just cutting. So no one thinks that she was involved in drugs, except for people trying to make sense of this in a way that makes it impossible for something this scary to happen to them, which we talked about before in the Unsolved episode, where basically it was drug related. This will never happen to me or my kids. But it's not.
Case of Lyric and Elizabeth. Yeah, that was
right.
The whole town
this is definitely not drug related. Literally, the money is the only thing that makes people think it is. There's not even she had a drug problem or she was seen making meth like Lyric and Elizabeth's family was. This is not drug related. That theory is not on the table. I just want to make that clear.
I appreciate it.
Yes. I need another drink.
Good job.
This drink is so fucking good.
It is so good. I'm halfway done and I'm I feel like I need to make another one.
It's dangerous.
Anything involving Pink Whitney is dangerous.
So Stacy's mom and all of the others at the home were now even more confused as to where the girls could have gone. It looked as if the girls went to sleep and then disappeared from their beds. Cheryl's bed even looked like it was slept in. So Stacy's mom decided that she should probably have a professional help figure out what the heck was going on here. She wanted to get the police involved, but also didn't really feel like it was an emergency. So she called 411, which, fun fact for all you younger folk, used to be the information number, and asked for the number to the closest police department. They told her, well, why don't you just call 911? And she was like, I don't think I have an emergency. I just want to know where my daughter is, so maybe the police know. She didn't want to take away from real emergencies that might be called in. She just wanted, someone to be
help.
Hey, how do I find my daughter? The police listened to her concerns. Yeah, the police listened to her concerns and came on the scene to take a report. Everyone was there. No one seemed worried that anything bad had happened, just kind of confused that they weren't home at all that day on Sunday. The voicemail system had a few messages that were played. Nothing really suspicious. There was a message on there from a random man saying weird, lewd, sexual things, almost identical to the call that Jay had answered earlier. And, she told the police, that guy called earlier too. I think it's just a prank, no big deal.
Yeah.
The responding officer was probably feeding off of their casual feelings and thinking this wasn't that big of a deal. That the girls would be found soon. Nobody was scared. Everyone was just like, but where the heck did they go?
Yeah.
The officer did have a daughter himself, though, and he wanted to kind of ease the minds of the parents. So he said that he was going to list them as a missing persons report with foul play suspected. He said to them the only reason he's doing this is because he knew the station would take it more seriously if he did, not because he actually thought there was foul play. There was nothing at the house that showed any signs of forced entry or a struggle or anything like that. He was just like, I have a kid too. I know you're scared. Let me write this on here and it'll get taken care of pretty fast. The officer also left a note on the door for Cheryl and the girls. And it said like, hey, this is the police. Call this number as soon as you get home so that we can close this missing persons case and update your friends and family that you're back. So like this kind of shows how much he was like, the girls are fine. He left them a fucking note.
Yeah.
Like, he did not expect anything to be wrong.
Exactly.
That night, the officer called around to hospitals and jails in the area, trying to find out if one or all of the girls were there to explain why they weren't home, but he had no luck. The next day, since he did report this as a missing persons case with foul play suspected, an investigative team got a warrant to search the house, and they went to find clues that would lead them to the missing women. Based on the things that Stacy's mom knew for sure, based on the things that Stacy's mom knew for sure that Stacy had with her when she went out, she knew that wherever she was, the only thing she could have been wearing was her yellow t-shirt and her underwear, which is what she was probably sleeping in, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
Other than that, police had no leads to go on. They weren't even sure if the house was the way it would have been when the girls disappeared because there were so many people in and out of the house.
Yeah.
So, like, what if it was messier and Stacy's mom or the other moms or the friends cleaned it up a bit when they were bored waiting for the girls to come home?
Yeah.
They already knew about the glass that was on the front porch, which was from the porch light that J and M cleaned up before they knew anything was wrong. J and M let the police know there was glass, by the way. So if this was a crime scene, it wasn't telling them anything. All they could do was spread the message about the missing girls and see if any tips would come in. Many tips did come in, but it was hard to decipher what was good and what was bad. What was actually a lead and what was a red herring.
Gotcha.
I'm not going to discuss all of the leads because, literally there were tons, and most of them were probably red herrings, but I am going to tell you about the ones that seemed a little bit helpful, and then we will talk about theories.
Okay.
The first tip came on June 12th, just a few days after the disappearance. It was in a sealed envelope with a piece of paper inside that said, "Used ruse of gas man checking for leak." That's all. It was just a piece of paper that said that. I'm not sure if anything else was in the envelope, but right after that tip, police went to an apartment complex to follow up on something. No one knows what. Whatever it was, the police said that something ended up being a dead end. Okay. And the tip, as far as I know, was basically thrown out as not meaning anything. No one knows whatever came from that.
What the hell? That's so random.
Yeah. A few more tips came in that same day and caused the police to search a lake and a river with divers and forests and hunting grounds. Like, they were all over this random park-ish area. Yeah. People talked a lot in the first few days, and every lead was checked out. There was a bad smell. It ended up being an animal. A blonde hair in the river that ended up just being moss, not even hair. A picture was passed around of a transient man who people reported as seeing in the neighborhood a few days before the girls disappeared. The biggest lead was from a woman who said that a silverish green, which is strange. Anyway, silverish green van. I'll show you.
Okay.
A silverish green van pulled into her driveway and then turned around. But before turning around, she got a glimpse of the driver, a blonde girl who looked scared and had a birthmark on her cheek. A lot like Susie's. Susie's birthmark is hidden really well in pictures, so there's a good chance that the woman who reported this did not know ahead of time that Susie even had this.
Yeah.
The tipster also said that right before the van pulled out of the driveway, there was a man's voice coming from the back of the van that said something like, "Get the hell out of here," or "Turn around and don't do anything stupid." Something like this.
Oh my God.
Yes. Because of that tip and the fact that the same night the girls disappeared, a similar van was reported stolen. The police relied heavily on the van and asked everyone to be on the lookout for it. They even purchased an identical one and parked it in front of the police station to make sure everyone knew exactly what they were looking for.
Wow.
And I'll show you a picture of the silverish green van.
Okay, the combination of this fucking creep that's calling / this weird man yelling. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that like
silverish green, right?
Sea foamy green. Yeah. I get that. That's the weirdest description I've ever heard for it, but I understand it now that I've seen it.
Silverish green. Yes. But yeah, like they really thought this had something to do with it. The van, a van that looked exactly like this was stolen the same night. And then
witness testimony, somebody that looks exactly like Susie.
Someone who knew the birthmark.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't report the birthmark. A creepy guy saying, don't do anything stupid. Get out of here. Yeah, that's super scary.
Plus the creepy, lewd messages that were left on the phone. Like, don't love any of it.
So, still, even after putting literally an identical van in front of the police station, police were not getting any closer to finding the girls. There had been multiple suspects since their disappearance, but in the last 29 years now, the girls have not been found and no one has been charged. I'm going to talk a little bit now about some of the people that the police did look into. As of right now, all of these people have been cleared or at least can't be charged. Most of them do have arrest records, so I will be using their real names in relation to what they actually have done. And I don't feel bad because don't be a fucking criminal. Again, all of this is public information anyway. So
exactly.
We'll start with the first people who were looked into, which is Susie's ex-boyfriend and his friends. So Susie had recently broken up with Dustin a few months before the disappearance because Dustin was getting.
So no offense to any of our Dustin listeners, we love you if you're out there, but
I know someone personally that I was friends with in the military named Dustin, and he was the nicest. Like he was in charge of me. He was kind of like a boss, but in the military, not really a boss. Anyway, he was so great. He was a good mentor. Aww. He was a good guy. But, like, seriously, the name Dustin fucking sucks. So, yeah, she broke up with him just a few months before the disappearance because he was getting into some trouble. Dustin and his two friends, Mike and Joseph, had gone to a cemetery,
like,
broken into a mausoleum.
Why would you do that? They broke into a
mausoleum and stole a skull and some bones from a dead body.
I'm just going to go on record to say that that's not a good thing to do. Bad juju. Yeah. For sure.
So the rest of the story is a little bit confusing, but eventually Dustin tried to sell a gold tooth filling that came from the skull that he got at a pawn shop. And also at some point, I guess the police questioned Susie, and Susie told the police that he was the one who took the skull and the bones. Somehow, I don't know if it was from Susie's testimony or what, but somehow all three boys, Dustin, Mike, and Joseph, were caught, and they blamed Susie for being caught. Apparently, they were also involved in Satan worshipping.
Always good.
Probably because they were teens in high school and thought it was cool.
Were they friends with hatred?
Probably. Many people think that their crimes, their weird fascination, and their hatred,
no pun intended,
towards Susie is motive enough to have killed the missing girls. When investigated by police, Mike said he wished all 3 of the girls were dead. But there wasn't actually any evidence to hold the 3 boys.
Yeah, but that's a horrible fucking thing to say about 3 people that are missing.
Right. I mean, it's fucking horrible to say about anybody ever, but it was probably in, like, the first days of their disappearance, and they were like, oh, they'll turn up, you know?
Yeah.
If they really didn't do it, they probably lived with that guilt for a really long time.
Yeah.
Of wishing that.
Exactly. Being 29 years later, and there's still no sign of them. And, like, the scariest part about this is, like, one of these women is a grown-ass woman, like...
Yes.
Like...
Fucking 47 years old.
You're not safe anywhere if you're not safe with your mom. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
God.
At your house, too. Anyway.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Steve Garrison was also looked into for a while. Originally, he told police that one of his friends drunkenly confessed to killing the girls to him. He told the police information that wasn't even released to the public and sent them to a property that the police had searched multiple times in the past for a different murder or disappearance or something, saying that his friend told him this. No one knows what was found at the property, but something definitely was, and there's now a gag order on the information that was obtained. Most people think it's likely related to the other case, since the property search belonged to a man who later pleaded guilty to 2 other murders. But Garrison, knowing details about the case that the public didn't know, like the police never said, made the police suspect him instead of this friend he was trying to blame. As of right now, Garrison is serving 40 years for raping a college student, completely unrelated, and as far as we know, there is nothing to link him to the Springfield Three.
So, but he sucks either way, so.
Yes, he's still a shitty person, that's why I'm not afraid to name him. Gerald Carnahan was also another person of interest. He was convicted of murdering 20-year-old Jackie Johns.
Did you tee a putty cat too?
He murdered Jackie Johns in 2007. He was convicted of murdering her in 2007. She was killed in 1985 and dumped in Springfield Lake. Carnahan eventually got caught because of DNA. Since he wasn't caught for so long, and in 1993, he was also arrested a short while for attempting to abduct a completely different girl, there's a possibility that he could have taken the Springfield Three as well. But a possibility doesn't lead to a conviction, and there's no known evidence of this, so no way to prove it. Yet another suspect is Robert Cox. In 1978, Sharon Zellers was killed on her way home from work in Florida. Robert Cox was sentenced to death for the murder of Sharon Zellers, but in some weird fucking turn of events, the Supreme Court overruled his conviction and released him from prison in 1990, which doesn't fucking make any sense because, like, there was blood in his car and everything. Anyway, in 1992, when the 3 went missing, Robert Cox was back in his hometown of Springfield, where these girls were taken from, and his alibi from the night that they disappeared was a girlfriend who later said that she had lied, that he was with her.
I don't like that.
So by 1995, he was in Texas being arrested for holding a 12-year-old girl at gunpoint during robbery.
What the fuck?
He was sentenced to life for holding that 12-year-old girl at gunpoint during a robbery because fucking Texas.
I swear to God, if you tell me they released him, I'm going to lose my goddamn mind.
No. No, I just think it's funny that that he fucking literally murdered someone and was let out of jail. Yeah. But then in Texas, he held a girl at gunpoint, did not hurt her, held her at gunpoint, and Texas was like, fuck you, life in prison. Like, fucking Texas.
See, sometimes Texas is a bitch, and sometimes Texas does it right. So in this case, Texas did it right. Because he was already showing signs of escalation, and I swear if you told me he was going to get out again, I was going to be like, no!
No. So ever since then, police in Springfield have tried to get Robert Cox to talk about the missing three, and he has admitted to knowing where they're buried, but there's no evidence or more information that he'll give. And at this point, police think that he likes the company of having them there. Yeah, and he's just pretending to know about their disappearance.
Right? It's like, if you know where they're buried, then tell me where they're buried.
Yeah, show me their fucking bodies then.
We'll let you out of prison. Oops, no we won't.
The last person who seems suspicious to the police is actually Susie's brother, which is Cheryl's son. Bart Streeter was 9 years older than Susie, and apparently they did live together for a little while, but Bart would get really aggressive when he was drunk and, throw stuff at Susie and his mom, Cheryl. I guess Cheryl gave Bart some sort of ultimatum that he didn't like, and so he left the area with his girlfriend eventually. He did move back to Springfield in late 1991, just a couple months before his mom and sister disappeared. His girlfriend says that he was home with her all night that night, the night that the three girls disappeared, and he also did pass a polygraph with the police. But a recent police interaction makes investigators think that Bart might not be innocent. In 2009, he was arrested for public intoxication, which isn't that big of a deal, really, at first glance.
Yeah. I've been publicly intoxicated, but I've never been arrested.
Yeah. And, his mom and sister have been missing for years, and I'm sure that weighs really heavily on him since he didn't have a great relationship with them. But also, while he was publicly intoxicated, he went to a nail salon here in Tennessee, right down the street from where I live.
Yuck.
And was telling the salon workers that the 15-year-old girl who was inside was his granddaughter, and he was there to pick her up.
What?
This girl was not his granddaughter. She was terrified, and the nail salon locked its doors and called the cops, and that's how he was caught for public intoxication.
Ew.
Which seems real fucking fishy.
Yeah. Don't like that.
Yeah. But
he's literally
then
trying
again,
to
on the other hand, most of this information that I got for this case right now, this whole story that I'm covering, actually came from a website called Streeter Family Blog that is supposedly run by Bart himself. So, he's been actively trying to solve his sister and mother's disappearance for all these years.
Okay.
So, if he did it, why would he be trying to solve it?
But we've seen some instances where
that's true. Yeah,
really involve themselves, right? So,
yeah, I don't know.
It could go either way. He could be a grief-stricken brother and son, or he could have had something to do with it, and he wants to make sure that he's never implicated as a result.
Yeah, he. I don't know. It's crazy to me because he has this blog, but also at the same time, he does not give any bit of his information to police. He refuses to talk to police because he thinks that police are incompetent. So, he's basically investigating this on his own. But also,
wrong?
he's a fucking... No, but also he's a fucking weirdo who tried to, pick up some 15-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, so weird. Anyway, so this is basically all we got. There's a bunch of theories from other people in the area. Some say
you went down a rabbit hole, didn't you?
I did. Some say they were abducted by aliens. Maybe they saw a bright light outside, went outside to look, and the UFO just beamed them up. Cheryl's boss friend thinks maybe someone saw the two young blondes in their red sports cars driving to Cheryl's at 2 a.m. and followed them into the home. Some people think a sex trafficker took them and sent them to another country. A bunch of people think they were buried under a parking structure at a hospital that was under construction that year because a psychic detective said that's where they were. Okay. A journalist actually went out with ground-penetrating radar and says that she found 3 body-sized anomalies under the concrete. And there is actually a petition with over 1,700 signatures to get the police to fund digging up the ground. But they don't think that it's a credible lead because it was a psychic who said it was there.
Yeah, but what is the anomaly that's under there otherwise?
So the police said that the anomaly is just... Actually, I'm pretty sure I wrote it down because I thought you might ask.
We're 24 episodes in, guys, and she knows me too well.
Yes, I did. Extra info. Anomalies could have been from the topography or the trash. So, like, basically, the police said that the anomalies, quote unquote, need to be compared to the rest of the area. So the psychic and the journalist literally went to the specific spot where the journalist was like, it's right here. Or, I'm sorry, where the psychic person was like, it's right here. And they only checked right there instead of checking the entire parking structure. And the police said if you would check the entire parking structure, you would see that those anomalies are all over the parking area because of trash that gets thrown in while we're doing construction, or just the way that the land sits underneath of this big, thing of concrete. So no one knows what is actually there. It could or could not be bodies.
Gotcha.
So the craziest theory is from some anonymous blog poster who posted on the internet in 2013. The anonymous person posted about an old hunting lodge that has an urban legend of being the site of the Girl Scout murders. Oh, it's not the site of the Girl Scout murders, by the way. It's not.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know that case. It's really sad.
Right. The hunting lodge burned down the same year that the Girl Scout murders happened, which happened in a completely different state. So it's literally just an urban legend. Yeah. But I am going to read you what this anonymous poster says. It's really creepy. You ready?
Yeah. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. It says, quote, I was 15 at the time this happened. I was visiting a family member who lived off Blakely at the time. I was visiting from Texas. I snuck out that night with a friend up the street named Chuck, who came up with the idea we go to Winoka, which is the name of this lodge, that we go to Winoka this night to show me it was haunted. The chain of events that occurred around 4 a.m. have haunted me ever since. Chuck killed himself because of it before I came back the following summer. We were deep in those goddamn woods looking at what looked like an old campground. But the story he told to lure me out was supposed to be an old plantation. Anyways, we were out there after walking way the hell into the woods when a van came from nowhere. We hid quickly. 3 men got out along with 3 women. These women were scared shitless and begging or something to these guys. We were about 50 to 60 yards away. Visibility was shady. All you could see was shadows from the headlights of the movement. But I have never forgotten the voices, because it sounded like they were right beside us. One was killed pretty quickly. From the noises, I think her throat was slit. You could hear her gasping. Other 2 screamed madly, beaten and raped. Silence followed. We laid in those bushes for 4 hours. Whoever the fuck that was in the van did not leave until nearly daylight. Lucky for us, because if they would have waited longer to leave, the daylight would have exposed us and we would have been seen. We couldn't move sooner because the branches and sounds on us walking on the leaves. Whoever those women were, I have no clue. Their bodies were loaded into the van when they left. I think the 2 were still alive, just knocked out. The way the men threw the other body in the van with such force and hearing it slam against the wall, that one had to be dead for sure. I'm 36 now, and that night fucked me up for most of my life. I can still hear all that and visualize what I saw that night. I drank my entire 20s away because of it.
Oh my God.
Wasn't until I turned 30 that I learned how to handle it. I still live here in Fort Worth, Texas. End quote. Super chilling.
Oh my God.
Some people...
That's like the...
some people say...
the Shanghai Tunnels story that you told me. About the guy that went exploring. Like, it's just so eerie. And it's written so genuinely and, like stream of consciousness that it doesn't feel like somebody's writing a story to me.
Yeah, a lot of people think that the anonymous poster is... Right. A lot of people think the anonymous poster is just making up a scary story to tell about the area, and the statement isn't reliable. They say that if the events did happen at 4 a.m. and the van stayed for, quote, 4 hours, then it would have been 8 a.m. when the van left, which is well after sunrise and daylight.
Yeah.
And I did check that day. The sun did rise way earlier. On June 7th, 1992 in Springfield, Missouri, the time of sunrise was 5:53 a.m. But that doesn't mean that the whole statement is a lie.
Yeah,
it was 1992.
He was scared being dragged out into
the kid was 15 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, maybe they didn't have a watch, and it felt like they were out there for 4 hours, and it was really only an hour and a half. Or,
and when you're scared shitless and protecting yourself, 2 minutes can feel like an eternity.
Yeah. Or maybe it was a lie. Nobody knows.
There's no way to know.
Yeah. So, are you ready for my theory, or do you want to tell me yours
No,
first?
I want to hear your theory.
Okay. So, the first time I ever heard this story, before I even heard about any of the tips, the first thought in my mind, and I don't know why this popped into me when I heard these girls were missing from their house and it looked like they had just vanished from their beds. I didn't think aliens. The first thing I thought was a faked gas leak, which happened to be one of the tips that came in. And it's because it would get me out of the house without a struggle, without proof or anything. That's an easy thing. If someone comes to your house and be like, hey, we got a report of a gas leak, I'm getting the fuck out of there.
100%. And as we know, Stacey was just in a t-shirt and underwear. Like, you run out of the house. You don't wait for it to blow up. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and so then after hearing the teeny tiny bit of evidence that we did have, which mostly is that Susie and Stacey parked in the roundabout part instead of in the carport, I was thinking maybe they parked there because someone else was parked in the driveway. Someone that was there to be fixing something, or maybe they actually were fixing something. And the girls got home, and the person there had an urge to take them. I'm thinking the girls didn't suspect anything. They proceeded to get ready for bed, maybe even got into their beds ready to sleep. And then the guy there was like, oh no, there's a gas leak. It's an emergency. You got to get out right away, without their clothes or their shoes. And then maybe he's like, hey, sit in my van since you're basically naked and only a shirt and underwear. Stay warm, stay out of the public's eye. Get in my van real quick. And Stacey, of course, in only her underwear, got in. And then once they were in the van, either other men who were already in the van or just this one guy pulled out a gun and took them somewhere. I still don't know where they went or where they are, if they're dead or if they're alive.
Because taking 3 people from their home without
you have to have
like a ruse.
Yes, there has to be a ruse. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. But that's all I can theorize. That's all I can think of. I don't know where they are now. I don't know what the fuck happened to them, who it was that did this ruse. I don't know.
And then if you combine your ruse with that guy's story,
it's
fucking wild.
It goes well. Sadly.
And you said that was posted in 2013?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it.
It was posted on... Obviously, I'll have the link listed for you guys, but I just want to clarify, it was posted on crimesceneinvestigations.blogspot.com. So it was like literally a blog post about this case where this guy was like, this is what I know.
I need to get this out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd buy it. And like with you, like, so my theory is I think that it has to have been someone that the girls either knew or would have trusted in some way. So a false ruse, like you've suggested. Because taking an adult woman and 2 teenagers that are basically adults without causing a scene is impossible. Like, that just doesn't happen. Like, and for them to vanish without a trace, like without even like anything, like that just seems very unlikely to me. So I like,
and it's obviously that money was not the motive
at all.
There was $900 in Cheryl's purse.
And if it was a random attack, like some of the suspects that you outlined, they would have probably taken that. They're all pieces of shit, and it's $900.
Yeah, which is $1,700 in today's money.
Yeah,
fuck yeah, they would have taken that.
Right? They're like, I got 3 girls and some money. It's a win-win for me.
Yeah.
So I think it has to have been somebody they knew or trusted in some way.
I
love your theory about somebody already being parked there because, like,
yes,
her friend said she's a creature of habit. Why would you break that? Ever?
Yes.
Like, for what reason? There wouldn't be. Like, other than if the parking spot was taken.
The boyfriend and the 2 friends would make sense for 3 guys.
Yeah.
In the case of the story that the anonymous poster said, but it doesn't make sense for why she didn't park where she parked. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't think he would have been at their house. Like, she wouldn't have been like, oh, why is my ex-boyfriend here? She would have been like, holy fuck, my ex-boyfriend's here, let me call the cops, you know? Like,
yeah, exactly.
They were already not on good terms, so it doesn't make sense for that part.
Yeah. I think that there was definitely probably somebody parked in the driveway. Maybe an alleged friend of Cheryl's that was like, who knows?
Yeah.
Like, and then, like you said, something happened, everybody ran outside, and people jumped in the van after the girls were already in there. I would buy that. And I don't know. I have a believable, like, icky feeling to that story that you posted. And it's like, if you're posting it on crime investigations, that's not where you post things to try and get a ruse out of, or a rise out of people.
Right.
Or a
and
story.
He posted it as
you would post
anonymous,
it on Reddit,
so it's not like, or creepypasta or some
something.
shit.
Yeah, you wouldn't post it on a crime investigation site. And if you were looking to stir up trouble or get attention, you would post a name or a contact or something.
Yeah.
Like, he seems very visibly torn up about it, and if his friend did complete suicide over it, like, I'd buy that. Like, that's traumatizing as a teenager to have to deal with that when you know that somebody's clearly hurt. Like, I don't know. I think I have to combine your two because none of the previous criminals other than the ex-boyfriend make sense to me or would have a motive. And if the motive's not money, then the motive is the girls. So, right?
Yeah.
That is so
There was
scary.
a bunch of other, like I said, quote unquote leads that the police ended up saying were red herrings. But like, one of the, what was it? A gas station worker said that all 3 girls came in with other guys willingly. So, and it could have been any teenage girls who had blonde hair, honestly, but he thought that he saw those girls come in with guys, leave willingly with them. They weren't in distress or anything, so they thought they just ran away. Another restaurant worker said that the 3 girls were all eating together and were super drunk, and then left with 3 guys. It's a lot of 3 guys, 3 girls situations.
Yeah.
Which, again, Susie and her mom Cheryl were really close, but I don't think they were close enough that, like, they were getting drunk and getting dates together.
Yeah,
like,
that's
again,
a
Cheryl was
line.
said to be a good mom still.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't know.
And so that witness testimony that mentioned the silvery green van and possibly seeing
yes,
who was described as Sherry, or not Sherry, sorry, Susie. I just combined her and her mom's name. Sorry.
No,
did they see?
Yeah, it was Susie.
Yeah, it would have been Susie. Did they see anybody else in the van other than Susie?
They saw the person they described as Susie driving, and they heard other voices coming from the back, but they didn't see anybody in the back.
And don't do anything stupid could have been directed at the person that was witnessing this, and it could have been directed at two women in the back of the van.
Or it could have been directed at the driver, like, don't fucking flag down that person you see. Drive away or I'm going to kill your mom and your friend.
Yeah. I think that that's viable. And the anonymous post said that it was a van.
Yeah. So.
Plus the creepy voicemails. Like, that doesn't just fucking happen when 3 people go missing randomly.
Yeah, that's scary.
Remember, coincidences are crimes, people. So I hate all of it, and I feel like there's like one tip or one piece or one like something that's gonna get these.
29 years they've been missing for.
Like it's
missing, not murdered, fucking missing. They don't even know where their bodies are.
I believe that they would probably be deceased at this point. Depending on the motive. If I don't think sex traffickers would have been a thing, because why would they have taken Cheryl? Like, no offense to her mom.
47-year-old
mom
woman
was a fucking bombshell, but that's not the age that they're looking for women to sex traffic. So,
yeah, and at this point, like I do believe in psychics, so it's hard for me to say I don't believe the psychic is telling the truth. I do believe that psychics are real and that they can help in solving crimes. I don't know if I think
police in the right direction. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I think that they're actually buried under that hospital parking garage, but it's been 29 fucking years. Like, just dig it up.
Or
just
at least
fucking check.
Or at least do your due diligence and check the ground around it, like you said. If they're going to find a bunch of other anomalies, then let them find a bunch of other anomalies to prove you wrong. But if they're not able
just fucking check.
Then dig it up. Yeah. I'm sorry.
29 fucking years.
Solving a case, that's where police to me suck, because it's like they're a government-funded entity. Like they're...
Right. The hospital already said, yes, you can dig this up as long as you pay for it. I don't care. Dig it up. Yeah. So, like,
and I get
fucking government paid for it.
But, like, this is people's lives. Like, they have family that I like, oh, poor Stacy's mom, too. Like,
I know.
Like, that sucks. That, like, me and my mom are really close. Like, while you were telling that, it's like, I imagine, like, that's how, like, what would my mom be thinking if I was gone? Like, I tell her everything. Like, it's just scary. That is so spooky. Yeah. I'm so spooked. I don't like it. If anybody knows any information about this that hasn't already been reported, please do report it to the Springfield Police. There's still posters and, like, tip lines that are urging for people to come forward. So, and if you are this anonymous writer... please tell them, like, tell the police, tell somebody if you're telling the truth. Like, you would never be implicated for this. You were a teenage boy hiding in the woods. Like, I can't.
Yeah, I kind of feel like
hiding, because they would have been killed if they were seen, probably.
Right. I kind of feel like him commenting on the Crime Spot blog post was him being like, this is me telling police. But also, it would be really helpful if they had an actual physical person that they could believe in front of them. You know what I mean? Like, people hide behind the computer all the time, and it's not helpful unless you really do come forward and say something. Yeah.
Yeah, and that witness, like, the witness that said something, like, that's so scary, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely believe that it was somebody in that fucking van, and I think that van was stolen and then parked in their driveway.
Yeah.
I don't like it. And like you said, crazy. Their house was the smallest and poorest house on the block. It would have been an easy target. So.
Yeah.
Ugh. I hate that. I really hope that this is solved one day.
Me too.
I really, really do.
It's so sad.
It is sad. And I hope if these women are unfortunately dead, that they're resting in peace somewhere. But I'm a firm believer that if somebody's body is not found or not laid to rest properly, that spirits are usually not restful, or if there's no justice for what's caused this. Like Cheyenne, not Cheyenne. Like Shanann Watts. Like I fully believe that EVP. Like I think that if justice wasn't really served, that she's not at rest. Like, ugh. So I need these ladies to be found. That's my point.
I didn't add it in my notes, but I do remember seeing it in the research, and I want to say it here. Stacy's mom specifically. Yes.
Well, Stacy's got it going on. She had to have gotten it from her mom, right?
Right. Stacy's mom specifically said that until the police can show her the body of her daughter, she believes that her daughter is still alive. She has not declared Stacy dead after 29 years. She still has hope that her daughter is going to come home one day.
Oh my God, my heart hurts. Oh, that makes this even more urgent.
The saddest thing.
Have Cheryl and Susie been declared dead?
I believe Bart, the brother, did have them declared dead after, I think it was 10 years.
Wow. Yeah, and I don't think he would have had anything to do with it. Like, I think he's a creep, and I think he was hurting. And
I think alcohol addiction does a lot of things to you, and having an alcohol addiction after this is not something that I would fault anyone for. No. It's an awful thing to have to experience. Especially like you said,
things are left unsaid, relationships are...
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to sound like a big cheeseball here, guys, but that is why I never, ever, ever will walk away from my husband if we're not 100%.
I don't get off the phone with anyone. My husband, my mom, my dad, my brothers, my sisters. I always say I love you first. And same for bedtime. Before bed, I will literally, like, even when my children get pissed off at me, and it happens often because I'm a fucking mom and kids suck, I literally lay in bed with my kids saying, I love you, good night, until they say it back to me. Like, I will not go to sleep until they say it back. I've been this way since I was little with my parents. Yeah. I remember being super mad at my dad, like, as a teenager, like, so angry because he didn't like my boyfriend or something, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I would still come downstairs like, ugh, I love you, good night. Yeah. Like, I have to say I love you before I go to sleep or get off the phone.
Another fact of why Sierra and I are the same person. Because I did the same shit. So, reminder, guys, go tell your loved ones that you love them. Because you never know when something fucking bananas like this might happen and you may never see them again.
Yeah.
My heart.
I know. It's so sad.
I don't like it. Like, I actually feel like I'm going to cry. Like, that's so sad.
I know. But my eyes are all glossy right now.
I really hope that that's solved. You did a great job. I knew of this story just because it is a very famous case, but I knew none of the details, and I am sufficiently spooked.
There's actually
I will be locking my deck door tonight.
Yeah. There's actually a newer podcast that's out, and they're currently trying to follow new leads about it. Let me see if I can find the name of it just so I can...
plug them?
Yeah, it's called the Springfield Three.
Oh, okay.
It's called the Springfield Three, a small town disappearance. Yeah. I mean, and there's only a couple episodes right now, but still, yeah.
Look at what happened with the Kristen Smart case. Chris Lambert dedicated his podcast to that case. It was the murder in my own backyard, and he did not let it rest. Like, sleuthers are honestly sometimes more valuable than investigators, in my opinion.
Yeah, actually, the girl who hosts this podcast I think she was like 9 years old at the time when this happened. Yeah. And she lived in Springfield. So, like, she remembers hearing it vividly. Yep. And now that she's an adult, she's like, I need to revisit this because, like, I grew up around this. Yeah. And those girls are still gone. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely listen to that if you want more information.
Hell yeah. And Sierra and I will, as we always do our best to follow any leads or updates of cases that we cover.
Yeah.
Because these girls do deserve to be brought home, whether that's alive or put to rest with their families. So, that hurt my heart.
Anyways, I'm sorry. So you can find pictures of the greenish silver van and also the cute little house on our Instagram or our Facebook or our Twitter. This is all at Twisted and Uncorked. On Twitter, we're twisted_pod. We have TikTok as well, Twisted and Uncorked. Also, you can come over to Patreon and get this episode early, which obviously if you're listening to it now, you didn't get it early unless you are already on Patreon. But the next episode you can get early, okay? Yes. And there's tons of other bonus stuff.
Early and ad-free. Because let's face it, all of us hate ads.
Yes. Go to twisteduncorked at patreon.com/twisteduncorked.
It's like hotmail.com.
Stories. Creepy, weird shit or urban legends at twistedanduncorked@hotmail.com. And leave us a review, please.
Yeah,
thanks.
Don't forget. Yeah, leave a rating and review if you enjoyed this episode. Tell a friend, tell your family, tell strangers in the car. Yeah. You never know. I had one lady ask me in the drive-thru when I was getting McDonald's once what I was listening to because she heard something bludgeoning and was probably curious who the creepy woman in the drive-thru was. But you never know.
You never know.
Yeah. So thank you guys for all of your support. We couldn't do any of this without you, and we would be talking to each other only, which is lots of fun, but,
Still a little weird.
It's more fun with our twisted humans. Still a little weird.
And on that note, thank you so much and happy July 13th to you all. Today we celebrate that in 1568 the process of bottling beer was perfected.
Oh shit.
We're all glad about that, right?
We really are. Just a couple years ago, just a few.
Yeah, just a few. Thank you for finally perfecting that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know we were mostly wine drinkers on the show, but we respect the beer world too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, enjoy those beers. Stay safe, and in the meantime,
keep it twisted.
Thank you for listening to Twisted and Uncorked Podcast. Remember, if you like the show, to go leave us a 5-star rating and review. We couldn't do it without you guys. Now stay tuned to hear about another cool podcast.
Do you like stories so scary that you can't sleep for 3 days?
Do you like exploring the supernatural?
Do you like spooky bitches?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, we've got the podcast for you.
Haunt Her?
I Barely Know Her.
Hosted by me, Zoe Knowlton.
And me, Katie Groves.
Together we take turns trying to scare the bejesus out of each other.
But it's probably just going to be me that gets scared, to be honest.
Check us out at our website for more information at
www.haunther.ibarelyknowher.com.
Stay spooky, my friends.